American Girl is a brand best known for their historical dolls. Now, these dolls are unique because each one came with a book series that really brought them to life and gave kids a glimpse into what life was like throughout American history. As the company grew, they expanded into lifestyle books, magazines, they even had American Girl stores with cafes, but most importantly, they started making movies. Now, this was a big deal at the time, especially to my sisters, because despite never actually owning any of the dolls, good lord, have you seen how expensive they are? It's insane. My sisters were American Girl experts, all right? They'd read like every single book. I ended up reading a couple myself and watching, I don't know, like one or two of the movies, but for the most part, I'd pretty much forgotten about them. That was until I saw this at the thrift store, Felicity, an American Girl Adventure. You'd think that finding this movie, all the other books and movies would come like flooding back to me, but no. There's something even more iconic to American Girl than all of those.
I think I know more about American Girl than you do, genius.
She's iconic, all right? A true legend from the Vine days. Honestly, I wish I could have her confidence. And that's when I realized I could. I must become an American Girl expert, a genius, if you will. Then I could recreate the Vine by taking my three sisters to an American Girl store and telling them there, in all honesty, that I know more about American Girl dolls than they do. From 2004 to 2023, they made 15 American Girl doll movies, and I will be watching every single one. Okay, here's the plan. All three of my sisters were going to be in town in just about a month after I hatched this devious little scheme, which gave me plenty of time to watch all the movies and become the American Girl expert that I've always meant to be. I would then be taking them, as well as my brother-in-law, to the last surviving American Girl place store here in LA in the Century City Mall. They won't know where we're going or why, we'll just happen upon the store, all start slinging out facts left and right, they won't even know it hit them. That's where I'll say the iconic line and have my Vine moment. It's a brilliant plan. But then, tragedy struck. I got a cold. I got sick. And everyone knows you can't work if you're sick. This meant that instead of watching all the movies over the span of like a month, I decided to take some sick time off of work and do an American Girl movie marathon. Why? I don't know. Now, conveniently for me, the movies are nicely split up into three eras, I guess. The first 5 were distributed by Warner Brothers, the next 5 produced by Universal, and the last 5 were made by none other than the e-commerce and logistics conglomerate, Amazon. 3 days, 15 movies, 5 per day. That's easy. Now, each movie tends to follow the same general formula, so in keeping with the American Girl theme, I'll be ranking each movie in a tier list by awarding a star based on whether or not I liked any of its 5 categories. The story, the main character or American Girl, the messages, the setting, and the hobby. Now, I just want to say this now to get out of the way. If I trashed on a movie that you liked and I gave it like no stars, it's probably because I don't like you specifically, and I wanted to hate on your favorite. As I watched though, I took 54 pages of notes, which is a lot of notes, so that I can recall specific details from movies to again prove to my sisters that I know more about American Girl dolls than they do. Genius. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty excited, but also kind of nervous to get started. So trying not to think about how many children's films I had to watch over the next like 3 days, I hit play on the one that started it all, Samantha. Samantha Parkington is basically American Girl's Batman.
I'm vengeance.
She's easily the brand's most popular character to this day, which is likely why they landed on her for their first feature film. Oh, yeah, and she's also an orphan who befriends Nellie and her sisters, who are also orphans, and she ends up helping them escape an orphanage. So, Samantha is basically Batman. This one is structured as like a year in the life type situation, which was fun. She saves the girls from the grouchy Miss Frouchy at Cold Rock Orphanage, which is a little on the nose, and in the end, her aunt and uncle offer to adopt her and her 3 orphan friends. And it is iconic, all right? It's got drama, it's got heart, it's got a high-octane orphanage escape sequence. You know, everything you'd need from a kid's historical doll turned movie. Story gets a star. Anna Sophia Robb absolutely crushes it as Samantha. She brings a sincerity to the role that really sells it. Samantha is just a wonderful character too, you know, always trying to help the girls, questioning the establishment like when Aunt Cornelia brings her to a suffragette meeting. Based, we love that. There's this hilarious scene where Samantha and the girls find this annoying bully kid's money jar. And this all speaks to her character too, you know, instead of using it for herself, she gives it to the church, which is sweet, I guess. But she's a good kid, and overall she makes good choices, although she did kind of keep 3 girls in her attic without her guardians knowing and almost got herself and her friends arrested. But we're gonna look past that and give her a star. This one is focused on the cruelty of child labor and like the importance of women having a say in society, which honestly, these are great topics to discuss with kids, and it's handled in a super approachable way. There's also this subplot about Samantha feeling unwanted, which gets resolved, but throughout it all, Samantha still shows a deep care for others, which I think can show kids that you can still be a good, empathetic person even when dealing with your own troubles. 1 star for all that. It's 1904 New York, and I think the movie does a great job at being a period piece. Nothing seemed out of place, and it all just kind of immersed me more in the story. On top of that, it's the Industrial Revolution, and they use that to show how factories will exploit cheap labor by, like, using children. The whole women's right to vote thing isn't as big of a plot point in this, but they still bring it up and it's important, so I'll give this one a star as well. As for the hobby though, Samantha doesn't really have a hobby in this one, so no hobbies, no stars. In total, 4 stars for Samantha, An American Girl Holiday.
Next up we have Felicity, An American Girl. Let's play it.
Felicity is the one most people will remember because this one is for the horse girlies. Felicity Merriman is a tomboy who just loves horses, almost to a fault, because she stops at literally nothing to ride this horse that's not even hers. It's owned by this evil tanner guy who is kind of abusive to horses, which is not great. She befriends the new girl in town, Elizabeth, who has this annoying sister Annabelle, who they call Bananabelle, great nickname. And Elizabeth drops the hardest insult of all time.
She woke up in a disagreeable mood several years ago.
All 3 girls end up taking gentlewomen classes together, and Felicity is not a fan, alright? She just wants to wear britches, man. The main plot of this is like her trying to free the horse from Jiggy Nye the Tanner. Grandpa dies and Mom almost dies because no American Girl movie is complete without the threat of or actual family member death. The movie ends with there being an issue with the horse's pregnancy, so Felicity goes to the only horse guy she knows for help, Jiggy Nye. And he actually helps the horse give birth, and they're like, cool now, I guess. I don't know, Felicity goes to this ball thing and has a good Christmas, which now marks the 2nd American Girl film to end during Christmas. It was interesting, but I thought it was just fine, so I don't know, half a star for the story.
Felicity makes some pretty bad choices in this. She's constantly breaking onto Jiggy Nye's property and riding his horse. At one point, he literally threatens to kill the horse.
If I see you near this horse again, I swear I'll kill it.
And then she still goes back after. I don't like that. But she does get in trouble for all this, which is good. Felicity also questions the establishment and like what it means to be a lady, and she even rejects tea at one point because tea is a sign of tyranny. That's cool, but all the horse shenanigans drop her score to half a star. There's a big emphasis on it being okay to believe things different than your family or friends, which I think is a fantastic message. There can be a lot of blind belief when you're a kid, you just kind of believe whatever your parents tell you. But I like that Felicity is not only encouraged to think for herself, but she actually does, so star for messages. We get another period piece, which is always fun. There's a lot of talk about tyrannical leadership and unjust taxes, loyalists versus patriots, that sort of thing. Maybe it's just more relevant than ever, but I really like this setting, and I thought it was cool to see these topics discussed so candidly in a kids movie, so that'll get a star. So Felicity's thing is obviously the horse, riding it, saving it, all that. And she just gets into so much trouble and makes some pretty bad decisions, all because of that dang horse, so no stars for her horse hobby. In total, 3 stars for Felicity, An American Girl Adventure.
Now, I might be crazy, but I swear I remember some kind of like sweepstakes around the time Felicity came out to like be in one of the movies, an open casting call, like contest kind of thing. I don't know. I just remember it causing a big buzz among my sisters and their friends, but I cannot for the life of me find anything about it online. So if you happen to remember anything at all, let me know in the comments below because I would love to read them. This has been bugging me way more than I'd like to admit. Anyway, after just 2 movies, I could already kind of see the formulating, and I gotta be honest, I wasn't really looking forward to watching 13 more of these, but I pressed on.
Molly McIntyre is dealing with a lot of change. Her dad goes to be a doctor in the Second World War, her mom has to get a job, the kids are now being taken care of by their neighbor, and worst of all, Molly hates turnips. So, you could say her life is pretty rough. Then this British girl Emily comes to stay with them, who claims that she's royalty and lives in a castle or something, which just makes Molly's inferiority complex worse. Molly wants to be the lead dancer in this show, she wants to win the spelling bee too, but ties with Emily on a technicality. There's like 10 seconds where they make you think the dad is dead, but he's not. Again, it wouldn't be an American Girl movie without the threat of family member death. and we end with yet another Christmas event where Molly gets the big dance part and Dad shows up and everyone is happy at the end. It's another year in the life story, just like the other two. The story itself was fine. However, I did get way more invested once Dad went MIA, so I'll give it a star. But Molly herself is annoying and selfish. She's not a good student. She's disruptive during class. Her rival, Allison, is actually a good student and a good dancer. But Molly, who can barely dance, by the way, is dead set on getting that Miss Victory part. Like, just let the girl who likes dancing be Miss Victory. It's not that hard. Molly complains about Miss Guilford's cooking and the stories she tells the kids about her son, but then only feels bad once Miss Guilford's son dies in the war. She also doesn't like Emily for most of the movie and only starts connecting with her once Emily reveals that her mom is dead and she's not actually royal. Oh yeah, and then Molly gets the Miss Victory part out of nowhere, even after it's established that she hasn't been practicing.
I've been working really hard. Oh, it shows. You've improved. A lot.
Justice for Allison, honestly. Undeserved. Molly sucks. Everything just works out for her. No star. The message was a little unclear, but maybe it's about compassion, I guess? There's also this do your part for the war effort thing. I don't know, I'm trying my hardest here to find something. No stars again, so sorry. They did do a pretty good job with the World War II setting though, I'll cut them some slack. A couple people die in the war, which was interesting for a kid's movie. The music was good too because 40s jazz music slaps. And I saw a little bit of Fiesta wear in this, so I'm gonna have to give the setting a nice little American Girl star. I think Molly's hobby is supposed to be the dancing, but you already know how I feel about that. No stars. All in all, Molly and American Girl on the home front gets 2 whole stars. That's not great. Let's hope the next one's better.
I moved to my bed to watch the movies because I was like, I'm tired and I just want to lie down while I watch. That was a mistake because I fell asleep and now it's 3 a.m. But I'm determined to finish the first 4 movies today. So I'm gonna go right back to watching them at 3 a.m.
Now, Kit Kittredge is actually the only one I distinctly remember watching because we get it from the library all the time. I've probably seen it like a dozen times at this point. It also happens to be the only American Girl film, at least at this point, to get a full theatrical release. The 3 previous movies were released on like the WB channel and like the Disney channel, and I guess they must have performed pretty well because they decided to give this one a proper budget, and good golly, does it show. Fun fact about me, my family and I actually went to the movie theaters when this came out. My mom and my sisters went to watch Kit Kittredge, but me and my dad, you know, we're boys. We're men. All right, we didn't want to watch no movie for girls, so we got tickets to a little indie film you might not have heard of called Disney Pixar's WALL-E. Yeah, the Kit Kittredge movie was up in theaters against the Academy Award-winning WALL-E. Safe to say it didn't do so well. But it's all good, you know, my family made up for its box office failure in library rentals. I don't think that's how it works, but whatever. Kit Kittredge is growing up during the Depression. She wants this old dog, she has her own treehouse cult.
Wonga, Wonga, Galooly.
But really, at the end of the day, she just wants to be a reporter. She actively follows cases like this guy getting robbed, her friend's house getting robbed, her family getting robbed. A lot of people get robbed in this. This string of robberies is supposedly being pulled off by a band of hobos, and people be hating the hobos, man. One kid even goes,
"My dad says that people who eat at soup kitchens are just hobos who feed off the government. And that's why we're in a depression."
Man, times really don't change, huh? Anyway, the Depression ends up hitting the Kittredges. Dad goes off to look for work. They have to take in boarders, and they start selling eggs, which is apparently like the last step before the poorhouse because everybody keeps mentioning it.
They've been selling eggs just to get by.
Kit will probably start raising chickens, selling eggs.
Francis Stone is a good-for-nothing deadbeat egg seller.
We're not gonna start selling eggs, are we? Right after her family starts selling eggs. We're not egg sellers!
Kit and her homies befriend these 2 hobos, but the older one gets blamed for all the robberies, so Kit sets out to prove his innocence. They discover that it wasn't the hobos committing these crimes after all, it was actually Stanley Tucci alongside his brother and a monkey, all of whom have been boarders at Kit's house. Also, the Joan Cusack mobile librarian lady, who is amazing by the way, was in on this whole thing too, but she's cool, I guess. Kit documents this whole thing, as well as what life is really like for the hobos, and sells it to the paper, which is really cool. Bad guys go to jail, and just like that, Kit has fixed the class war against the poor. There's a big Thanksgiving feast, Dad comes back, and everyone is happy at the end. I love this movie, honestly. It's competently written, the acting is great, the story is fun. I might be biased, but I don't care. I'm gonna give this story a big ol' star. Abigail Breslin really shines as Kit. She's super inquisitive and ambitious, and it's just really empathetic, especially towards the hobos. Great character, great role model for kids. Kit gets a star.
The setting is also great and gets a star. I will say though, weird timing to release a movie about the Depression during an economic recession, but let's not dwell on it. This movie is all about caring for others regardless of what they're going through, not judging people based solely off of their social or economic status, and I love this. These are really important ideas for kids to hear. They're getting a star. Kit is super driven to be a journalist. She's always taking pictures, asking people questions, piecing things together. Her hobby not only helps counter misinformation about the underprivileged, but also gets her family some money, so 1 star for Kit's hobby. To nobody's surprise, Kit Kittredge in American Girl gets a perfect score of 5 stars. And after this one, I just went to bed. No way was I going to stay up to watch another American Girl film at like the wee hours of the morning. And not Chrissa, no less. Just look at that cover and tell me if you notice something different. Yeah, that's right. This one is set in the modern day. Now, let me back it up a little bit. Pleasant Rowland was a former educator who found that the textbooks that were offered in the classroom kind of sucked, and they weren't really conducive for learning. So she had a fine, I'll do it myself moment, and she ended up just writing some textbooks herself, which is apparently something you can do. During this time, she also realized that there was a surprising gap in the doll market. There were obviously Barbie dolls, which look like super anatomically inaccurate adult women, and then baby dolls, which look like, and you're not going to believe this, babies. But there weren't really any dolls that looked the same age as the kids playing with them. So with her desire to educate as well as give kids dolls that look like them, she launched American Girl in 1986. The dolls and books exploded in popularity, so much so that it seemed to start a bit of a children's American historical fiction trend. Shout out if you remember the Dear America or My Name is America books. Anyway, American Girl was undeniable. It had become so popular that in 1998, Mattel paid Rowland over $700 million and acquired the growing doll brand. Now, it was under Mattel that they branched out into like the lifestyle books, the magazines, various toys like this charm bracelet set, and you guessed it, the movies. But there was something else that Mattel did with the dolls. Up until this point, every single doll had been based on a particular time period in American history, but starting in 2001, American Girl began to release the Girl of the Year doll. Every year, a new unique doll would launch with her own stories, personality, books, setting, you name it. But the big difference was that these dolls were all set in the modern day and helped kids learn modern lessons and tackle modern problems. So, starting with Chrissa, the next 6 movies are all based in modern day. And I gotta be honest, I wasn't looking forward to this at all. So it came as a pretty big shock to me that watching Chrissa, I actually got super invested into it. Like, it was actually kind of good. In fact, and you're not gonna believe this, but Chrissa Stands Strong is easily my favorite of all of the American Girl doll movies, so let's talk about it. Chrissa Maxwell and her family have just moved to Minnesota to stay with their grandma, whose hobbies include taking care of llamas. Didn't expect llamas on my American Girl bingo card, but here we are. But Chrissa is now at a brand new school with brand new kids and brand new opportunities to make friends. She's kinda shy though, and on just the first day becomes prey of the 3 mean girls. Huh. Mean girls. Where have I heard that one before? And these girls are pretty mean, alright? They laugh at everything Chrissa says, they steal all her Valentines, and they all flip their hair at the same time. That's how you know they're really mean. The movie really starts to take off when Chrissa ends up on the swim team. She's really good at swimming, which makes Tara, the main mean girl, pretty jealous. Now, Chrissa sees that this girl, Gwen, is also being bullied by Tara and her cronies, so they bond over their shared trauma, and now Chrissa has made a friend. One of Tara's hench girlies, Sonali, also kind of has a turn of heart and ends up befriending Chrissa and Gwen, so they got their own little friend group going. But Tara is evil, alright? Here's just a short list of the awful stuff that she does. Stabs Chrissa with a pencil, shoves Chrissa's clothes into the trash after swim team, posts pictures up of Chrissa the loser llama girl, because her grandma has llamas, remember? Cuts Gwen's bangs instead of Chrissa and messes them up on purpose so that she looks more homeless. For context, Gwen and her mom were staying at a shelter. Cyberbullies Chrissa by posting a rumor about her having a skin disease on like this school forum page. This bullying all comes to a head when Tara eggs on Chrissa's older brother Tyler, who's also on the swim team, to dive off the tall diving board that they're not supposed to use. Chrissa tries to get him to stop and tell him, hey, this is dangerous, but Tyler does it anyways. This girl has problems, man.
I hope Tyler's okay.
Tara gets in trouble, and then Chrissa also gets in trouble for some reason, and Chrissa ends up deciding to quit the swim team so her brother doesn't feel left out, but mostly because she wants to avoid Tara, which is kinda understandable. Now, this whole time, Chrissa hasn't really told her parents about what's going on, but they know something's bothering her. But after having a conversation with her art teacher urging Chrissa to tell her parents, Chrissa finally tells her parents about Tara and the bullying and everything. This all inspires her to get back on the swim team, as well as propose the topic of bullying for this social studies end of year project thing.
How many of you have felt bullied? Wow. Okay.
Bro, literally every kid just raised their hand. Is that like not concerning? Like I would be concerned if I was that teacher, right? Anyways, it's time for the big swim competition and Chrissa wins her particular competition, but when it comes time for the relay, Chrissa tells Tara, "Girl, we might not like each other, but we're the best swimmers at this school, so let's work together to win this." And they do. Tara even suggests that Chrissa swims anchor, whatever that means, admitting that Chrissa is the stronger swimmer. And the school wins the competition, they present the project, they stop bullying, and everyone is happy at the end.
All right, so Chrissa is done. Honestly, way better than I expected.
While elements might be played up a little for dramatic effect, I thought the characters and their actions and reactions were pretty realistic. The real bullying that happens at that age looks something like this, and I think this was handled really well. Everything about this story works, and I was super invested, way more than I expected. Easy star for story. Chrissa's character is written really realistically, and I love it. Her arc from being walked over by Tara and her henchgirls to standing up for herself is awesome to see and is a great example for kids on how to deal with bullying. Chrissa is a really fun and sympathetic character to follow too, so another easy star for this American Girl. Now, if I had to guess what the message is, it would probably be about bullying. It's not easy to stand up for yourself or others, and while it might seem scary, it is the right thing to do. Also, more specifically for kids, it's important to talk to the adults in your life who you trust and care about you, because some problems are just too big for kids to solve. I also really like this quote from Chrissa's mom.
Sweetie, it's never smart to be less than who you are, or to let anyone take anything away from you.
The messages are great, handled really well, yet another easy star for message. For being the first American Girl movie set in the modern day, they did a pretty good job with it. It fully takes advantage of its modern 2009 setting that speaks directly to modern kids.
Something that makes my life special is my cell phone.
Girl, you think you like it now? Just wait a couple years and you can play Roblox on that thing. Location-wise, not too interesting, but I'll still give the setting a star. Chrissa is obviously into swimming, and she's really good at it. It's central to the plot. Hobby gets a star. And with that, Chrissa stands strong, passes with flying colors at 5 stars, right up there with Kid. And with that, we're done with the Warner Brothers era. Honestly, these movies were way higher quality than I remember them being. I definitely had seen both Samantha and Felicity before. Like, I remember the scene in the child labor factory in Samantha freaking me and my sisters out as kids. It's genuinely terrifying. Sometime between 2009 and 2012, Mattel Entertainment switched production companies from Warner Brothers to Universal. Not exactly sure why, there's no real good documentation on all of this. However, it does mark a turning point in like the tone and quality of these films. Mattel must have realized that most of the kids who grew up with the OG historical dolls were all grown up now, and in order to capture the new generation of kids, they had to focus less on the historical fiction and more on contemporary fiction. So every single Universal era American Girl movie is a Girl of the Year movie. Great.
Let's dive in, or let's jump in, I guess, because it's a little gymnastics joke for you.
McKenna Brooks is a gymnast girly. She's so obsessed with gymnastics that her grades are suffering, and her parents get her a cool tutor named Josie. Now, McKenna is super embarrassed to have a tutor for some reason, so she just never tells her best friend Tulane about it. Big competition happens, and McKenna, in her hubris, well, she does a move that's a little too advanced, and she falls and breaks her leg. McKenna also breaks new ground by tearing down all her gymnastics posters.
Daring today, aren't we?
But hey, now Josie and McKenna are matching. I probably shouldn't make that joke. Her friend Tatooine starts to get suspicious of her, and this is where these movies start to lose me. What on earth am I watching? Eventually, McKenna sucks up her pride and enjoys the tutoring as her friendship with Josie grows. There's a bit about Taurine getting jealous that Josie and McKenna are getting along. McKenna does heal up and goes back to gymnastics, so I guess the posters are going right back up. She keeps putting too much pressure on herself to do well though, but she actually listens to the people in her life for once who are telling her to play it safe, and she does great. She makes it to the regionals alongside Toulouse, but Tulane doesn't really want it anymore, so this girl Sierra gets it, and everyone is happy. They all clap at the end. I'm gonna be so for real, I did not find this one very interesting. The story's not gonna get a star. Low-key, I was kind of getting Molly vibes from McKenna. She's pretty selfish, but unlike Molly, she actually learns her lesson and listens to the people in her life, as well as sees the value in life outside of gymnastics, so McKenna gets a star. The messages in this one seem to be about having a good support system to rely on when things go bad, that athletic success isn't about winning or losing, it's about improving your own skills and balancing athletics with everything else in your life. I like all of these, and I think they're pretty great, so a little star will do ya. McKenna takes place in modern-day Washington State, modern being 2012, and they honestly don't do anything really interesting at all with that, so no star for the setting. We got the whole gymnastics thing going on, and I'll give it a star just because I like the sports angle. I did also kind of expect them to only show McKenna's routine at the end, but they actually show all 3 girls' routines, which was pretty neat. All in all, McKenna shoots for the stars and gets 3 whole American Girl stars. One thing though that I did notice, like immediately off the rip about this Universal era, is their use of licensed music, which makes sense because, you know, it's modern day, but it's crazy to me how many of these I recognize. By this point, it was mostly my youngest sister watching these movies, and it's not only funny to me how many of these songs I recognize, but I can totally see where like her micro obsessions with certain hobbies came from. She had a couple year stretch where she was into gymnastics, she's still into baking, which will come up later, and it honestly wouldn't surprise me if this were why. Anyways.
All right, up next is Saige Paints the Sky, an uplifting movie about family, friendship, and creativity. Hey, I'm creative. Maybe this one won't be so bad.
Oh boy, right off the bat, the writing in this one is so rough that the dialogue sounds like 2 AIs talking to each other. Not great. But budget cuts in the school art program mean that art and music have to alternate each year. Now, this doesn't sit well with Saige Copeland because she's a painter, taking after her grandma. Whoa! She's a grandma? Anyway, her friend Tessa is ecstatic because she and her new friend Dylan both love music, which means that this one is kind of a musical, and I hate it.
Don't let them tell you that you dream too much.
I hate it so much. Why did we have to bring music into this? People just start up and singing in real life. Like, these were all grounded before in reality. What's going on? Anyways, Mimi has a fall and Saige visits her in the bland, undecorated hospital room, which gives her an idea. To protest the lack of art class with a day of beige. She somehow gets almost the entire school to wear beige to show everyone how boring it is when everything is
boring and drab. Everything was beige and totally colorless. How could anyone possibly feel better in this room?
Anyway, the girls attend a press conference that Saige freaks out over, but she's got social anxiety. It's a whole thing. They want to put on this fundraiser, but they all keep beefing. It all works out in the end, though. They put on the fundraiser at this fiesta thing. Saige beats her anxiety without therapy or Zoloft, which is nuts. She leads the parade, which Mimi was supposed to. The girls finish this mural that Mimi was also supposed to. They end up getting all the money after Saige gives a speech about conquering her fears or something, and they all don't die in a tragic hot air balloon crash. Everyone is happy. The end. There was way too much going on in this. It was not great. No star for story. Saige is a little dramatic in this and honestly not the best friend. She does end up working out her issues with Tessa and realizes that art and music can coexist just like they have since the dawn of time. Saige has some fairly meaningful growth in this, and even though the story was whatever, I found her character interesting enough to warrant a star. The main message seems to be face your fears because you never know what good you can do if you step out of your comfort zone. Also, all forms of art are valid, protests are cool, it's always good to stand up for true injustices. These individual ideas are good, but again, it was just kind of all over the place, so best I can do is half a star. The New Mexico setting was tied in really prominently throughout the story, which was refreshing to see. However, Mimi was painting a culturally significant mural about the history of Albuquerque, but they didn't make her or Saige Mexican or like indigenous, so I feel like there's a missed opportunity there for diversity. Half a star. The whole art angle was neat, although the feud between the art girlies and the music girlies was kinda ridiculous, but they did all use their skills to raise money for a good cause, so I'll give it a star. Even though it was a bit of a rough watch, Saige Paints the Sky earns 3 American Girl stars.
Up next we have Isabelle Dances into the Spotlight, a celebration of dance, family, and friendship that every girl will love. What about every boy, huh? What about every boy?
Isabelle Palmer and her older sister Jade, are both studying ballet at this performance art school in Washington, D.C., which means that I am yet again subjected to another musical. We're kind of breaking reality here. Normal people don't just break out into song and dance. But hey, maybe that's just how it is at performance art schools. I don't know. Now, Jackie Sanchez, the girl's favorite ballerina, is leading a Nutcracker performance that they both end up getting into alongside the antagonist, Renata, who's yet another mean girl. A lot of this movie is Renata doing things to mess with Isabelle, and Isabelle messing up and feeling bad about herself, but still pushing through because she loves ballet. Now, Jade is the best ballerina at the school, a classic overachiever who never gets recognized, and Isabelle has a bit of an inferiority complex because she's constantly being compared to Jade.
Sometimes
I just want to scream, but I know that no matter how loud I scream, no one would hear me. How could they? They're all too busy listening to you.
Both are valid, honestly, but they end up working it out with their mom, so everyone's good. We find out that Renata is only being mean because her family cares more about her football brother as true Americans. Oh, and the play goes fine. We get to watch the Nutcracker, which is great because the music goes hard. Isabelle pulls off all her dancing thanks to her sister's help. And in the end, the sisters get into this New York ballet program. It's a white Christmas, and everyone is happy at the end. Massive improvement over the previous two. Super engaging the whole time despite the whole musical element, but whatever. The story easily gets a star. Both Isabelle and Jade's characters were really great. I liked the conflicts, both of their personal issues felt really authentic. The two American girls get 1 star. The overall message seems to be haters gonna hate, don't let that distract you from your passion, and I like it. I'll give it a star. They're in Washington, D.C. Can't get more American than that, honestly. The mom, who's played by Melora Hardin, by the way, works at the Smithsonian as like a textiles expert / costumer, and she ends up making the costumes for the Nutcracker play, which is cool. I like how they tied in the locale with the story, so I'll give it a star. The ballet hobby works really well for this story, because from what I'm aware, ballet is a really difficult art form or sport and requires a lot of practice, so from my limited knowledge, it seems like it was done pretty well here, so I'll give the hobby a star. And with that, Isabelle dances into the spotlight, gets a clean 5 stars. Isabelle was honestly a refreshing change of pace and like a nice breath of fresh air for this franchise, but nothing could have prepared me for the insanity of the movie that came next. Grace Thomas loves baking. She's got her own little baking business with her homies. Things are going great. Then her parents hit her with the news that they're all going to be taking a summer vacation to Paris. Not just that, but they're going to help Grace's pregnant aunt, whose husband owns a bakery. So obviously Grace is excited. Oh, I'm sorry, she's not?
Paris? What do you mean we're spending the summer in Paris?
She wants to stay home and keep running her own baking business instead of going to bake in France for free? Yeah, I already don't like Grace. Anyways, she goes against her will, meets her stuck-up cousin Sylvie, tries to help her uncle, but fails on multiple occasions. The thing over here is like Uncle Frenchman wants his baked goods offered at this hotel run by the illustrious Jean-Luc, but he can never land a meeting with the guy. So Grace and Sylvie, who have worked out their differences after Sylvie tells Grace about her dead mom, again, the whole family member death thing, well, the two girls take it upon themselves to secure a meeting with Jean-Luc. And how do they do that, you might ask? They end up strapping baked goods to this stray dog they befriended and send him into the hotel to wander into Jean-Luc's office. Let me just reiterate, I don't think you're understanding this. They sent a stray dog to wander into a high-profile hotel to deliver baked goods to a extremely high-profile hotel manager. And this works out for some reason. Jean-Luc is like, let's work together now, and Uncle Bernard and his family get their happy ending. Before they leave, Uncle teaches Grace about the je ne sais quoi, or in this scenario, meaning the little something that'll elevate these little baked goods. They end up landing on
balsamic vinegar. Tomato paste. That's a big word for Elmo.
Now this is important because when Grace gets home, it turns out that Grandma and Grandpa are behind on their mortgage and they are going to lose their bakery. Why is this coming up now? You can't just introduce new plot points 20 minutes before the movie ends. Anyways, Grandma took a video of Grace gushing about baking earlier and sent it into MasterChef Junior, and now Grace is on MasterChef Junior to save the bakery.
Oh, what is happening?
The whole je ne sais quoi thing comes back into play as they've got to use these weird ingredients on this table in their dessert. So Grace uses these violets and candied them, and a little callback to this scene from earlier.
Did you just eat a flower? It's a candied violet. So good.
Grace wins, they save the bakery, the French invade America, everyone is happy at the end. Man, this is a hard watch. I did not like it. No star for story. And you know what? I didn't like Grace that much either. She has no meaningful growth. She's kind of full of herself the whole time. Everything just kind of works out for her. She thinks she's better than her friends, and she constantly pisses them off.
I've got news for you, Grace. We have good ideas too. It's not all about you.
No stars. There was no obvious message in this one besides like being open to trying new things. Kind of basic, not very compelling, no star for the message. The Paris setting was new, although I will say I thought this was American Girl, not American help sustain a healthy global economy through international tourism Girl. Still cool though. But what wasn't cool is this band. Every time Grace steps out onto the streets of Paris, she's being stalked by this band playing emotionally relevant off-brand pop songs, and they show up everywhere. It's kind of creepy. In fact, at the end of the movie, the band shows up in America and then just disappears. And Grace shrugs it off? Does this mean that magic is canon in the American Girl doll universe? We're breaking reality yet again, but I'll give it a star. It's kind of a funny bit.
Grace's thing is the baking. That's a new one. She's pretty good at it too, although she did keep messing up in Paris. But in the end, she won MasterChef Junior and bought a new oven for her grandparents, so I guess I'll give it a star. I'm kind of hungry now. Which leaves Grace stirs up success with 2 whole stars. I hope the actress moves on to bigger and better things. God, I'm getting really tired of these. But there was just one more in this Universal era, and then we can be done with it. And Leah to the Rescue is the franchise's first and only action-adventure movie, which is interesting. And Grace taught us to try new things, so I guess I'll just go ahead and hit play, just like how you should hit that subscribe button. All right, moving on. Leah Clark has a knack for adventure, taking after her late grandma who explored the Amazon. Her grandma had this diary thing and claimed to have met indigenous people way out there in the Amazon, which is absolutely a thing, but nobody believes her.
Your grandmother told you that story was a hallucination from the anti-malaria medication, honey.
Yeah, it turns out that's an actual thing. The FDA has issued warnings about it and everything, which is wild that I'm learning this from an American Girl doll movie. Anyway, after her conservationist brother Zach visits from Brazil with his girlfriend Paula, who Leah just hates, by the way, he tells Leah and only Leah that he's been tracking down poachers and he's gonna take them down. He says he'll be careful, but of course he isn't careful and goes missing. And I guess the Clarks have fly to Brazil on a whim money, because that's exactly what Mom and Leah do. Mom goes to the cops and ends up searching for Zach with this cop lady, and Leah partners up with her favorite person in all of Brazil, Paula. Now, Leah makes a lot of really stupid decisions that somehow just work out, even though Paula is like, hey, this is dangerous and we could get ourselves killed. I'm just trying to protect us. Which is totally reasonable, but the movie frames it as like Paula being a total jerk.
If we go much further, I don't know if we'll be able to make it out at all, and it gets dark quickly here.
Why are you always this negative?
Oh yeah, and then it turns out that Granny's anti-malaria hallucination tribe was real after all. Who would have guessed? And Leah befriends this girl, Aki. The tribe takes them in and takes care of them because apparently Grandma helped them out back in the day. The chief sends out guys to find Zach and they figure out where the poachers have him, so Leah and Paula say bye to the tribe and follow the poachers on very brightly colored bikes. These guys must never check their rearview mirrors because Paula and Leah make it to Zach like real easy. They all get caught for a second, but Leah has like 100 in lockpicking and she breaks them all out. They track down the poachers using the power of GeoGuessr,
nice.
And we get some Brazilian police propaganda.
Score 1 for the Brazilian Police Department.
And everyone is happy at the end. This one was all over the place, and not in a good way. No star. Leah takes way too many risks for a kid. She also hates Paula for being the only voice of reason. None of her actions have any meaningful consequences. This is not a good role model for young children. No star. Big message here, poachers bad, preserving rainforest good, which is objectively a good message. However, I don't like the whole take dangerous risks, it'll all work out thing, so half a star for the ecological part, that's it. I did kind of like the Brazil setting though. Aside from the whole indigenous tribe thing, which I feel could be a little offensive and stereotypy, I was impressed. They shot on location in Brazil. The phone codes are actually for Manaus. I like that attention to detail. So I'll give this setting a star. It was probably the most interesting part of the movie, which is saying a lot. Leah likes photography, I guess. Not super prominent in the movie, but it does help them find the poacher's boat in the end, so I don't know, maybe half a star. Final verdict on Leah to the Rescue, 2 whole stars. Yikes. We're now in 2016, and Mattel has ended their relationship with Universal and rebounded to a multi-year-long contract with Amazon. I can't really seem to find any concrete info on this, but it seems like there's a very clear shift back to the brand's roots because the first 3 of the Amazon movies are all based again on the historical characters. Of the 5 Amazon movies, only one, the last one, is available to stream on Amazon. I guess the previous 4 were like silently removed at some point. I just want to be 100% clear before we move on. The movies that were made by Amazon aren't available to watch on Amazon. I had to like hunt around the internet and go to Reddit of all places, but I was able to find the previous 4, and I'm gonna just be so real, this all just kind of proves the value of physical media, so. Now, I gotta be honest, I was kind of burnt out after watching 10 American Girl films over the span of like 2 days, and as interested as I was to see how these historical movies turned out, I was also back at work, and the thought of like getting home from a long day of work and sitting down and watching more mediocre children's films didn't really sound appealing to me, so I may or may not have taken a 2 or 3 week long gap. Time was running low. Well, time was running out, if we're being specific.
I'm a procrastinator by nature, and I left myself with one whole day to finish watching all the movies before I took my sisters to the American Girl store and told them there that I know more about American Girl dolls than they do. Genius. Don't tell anyone I said this, but this whole time, I had someone on the inside. A mole in the operation. A woman in the chair, so to speak. I told my older sister about this whole thing because I needed somebody to talk about American Girl to, otherwise I was going to go insane. Arguably, I already had gone insane, but that's not really the point. I was at my lowest point, okay? I needed help. I'm not afraid to admit it. I needed support. I couldn't finish these movies on my own. So I called in a favor, and my sister and her husband came over, and we watched the next two movies together. Melody Ellison lives in freshly desegregated 1960s Detroit during the Civil Rights Movement, and she and her mom have to deal with racism and bigotry, you name it. Just because the state is desegregated doesn't really mean that life for Black Americans has changed very significantly. The movie mostly centers around Melody's realization that America is not truly a free country for all people, just a free country for white people, which is pretty heavy for a kids movie. I also want to mention this racist blonde kid named Donald, for no reason. And the movie ends with Melody and her classmates going to a fundraising concert where her mom performs a piano piece and they all sing and everyone is, well, I can't really say everyone is happy because this is America. The end. I'm going to be so for real with you. The story itself is just not there. It almost feels like a play with how the movie is written, how the sets look. The music is like the same track over and over again. It's kind of sad because given the setting, this could have been a solid movie if given the proper budget, but yeah, man, the production value is just kind of rough. Half a star. Easily the best thing about this movie, though, is Tina Mabry as Melody. She absolutely shines and brings the character so much vibrance and passion. She's curious about the racial issues of the nation and holds strong to her ideals. I respect that. That deserves a star. Now, this is the first American Girl movie to end with a quote from Harriet Tubman, which is interesting. Every dream begins with a dreamer. Always remember that you have within you the strength, the patience, and the passion to reach for the stars and change the world. It's not bad, it's just kind of shallow, I guess. If the message they're focusing on is this kind of generic Harriet Tubman quote, and not, I don't know, Melody's radicalization about targeted violence toward minorities and America only being a free country for white people, then they're kind of missing the mark. A little disappointing, to be honest. I feel like they could have gone with a more relevant quote. Half a star. The post-segregation Detroit setting was perfect for the topics of the film. I liked the choice to show that you can change the law, but you can't just change the mindset of the people overnight. I respect that they tackled a more difficult time in American history, so that'll get a star. Melody likes sewing and makes her mom this shawl thing for the fundraiser concert, so her mom could look like a concert hall pianist, which is really sweet. She's also interested in civil rights and social justice. I love that when Melody realizes the Pledge of Allegiance is a lie, she refuses to recite it as school-based. We love that. The hobbies will get a star. Even though the plot and production value were kind of weak, Melody still ends up with a nice 4 stars.
How do you guys feel about Melody?
That was fun. I mean,
honestly, it wasn't that bad. It's just not much happened.
the acting was well above the budget.
Oh.
Blackfish was very good.
Oh yeah, acting was great. Acting was easily the best thing about this. All right, up next is MaryEllen, 1955. Who's ready for MaryEllen? Christmas time. Let's go.
MaryEllen Larkin isn't like other girls, alright? She wants to wear pants. That sounds familiar. She likes drawing, which is different from painting, and she survived polio. Now, MaryEllen kind of does things for attention, not the polio, but she's one of 5 girls and feels like her parents kind of forget about her sometimes. So she decides to paint their front door red so that God passes over their home and doesn't kill their firstborn child. She gets in trouble, obviously, but MaryEllen tells her mom that she feels unappreciated, to which her mom says, maybe you should focus on other people. And then they plan to send her away to her grandparents for Christmas, which is an interesting choice, but hey, MaryEllen is jazzed because she's never seen snow before, and where her grandparents live there's snow, so I guess we're all good now. Girl, that ain't snow, this is the 50s, that's asbestos. But Christmas is still a ways away, so in the meanwhile, MaryEllen befriends their mom's friend's son, Benji, who's in town for his polio treatment. She visits him in the hospital, which is where she's saddened to find out that all the kids have to spend Christmas there.
What's it like where you live? There's only one elementary school and one police station for the whole town.
Dang, only one PlayStation for the whole town? That's crazy.
MaryEllen takes her mom's advice and decides to do something really nice for the kids. Using her drawing skills and her friend's carpentry skills, the two make framed drawings for each of the kids in Benji's hospital room, which is honestly really kind and thoughtful. She also takes the money that she would have used to visit her grandparents in Georgia, has others pitch in, and then gives it all to Benji and his mom. And the movie ends with Grandma and Grandpa going to Florida for Christmas, bringing a cooler filled with snow, and everyone has their best Christmas ever, everyone is happy, the end. Honestly, I like this one a lot. It had a lot of heart. This was a good one. Story gets a star. I like MaryEllen's character arc too. It's not like the most profound or anything, but her turn from focusing on herself to others is really sweet. She obviously feels this way because of her parents, but they kind of make up for it, so that's good. MaryEllen is thoughtful and selfless. She's a good character, good role model. MaryEllen gets a star. No quote in this one. They just introduced the concept in Melody only to not have one here. But it seems the message is something like, sometimes it's good to care about others, you know? Do some good for other people because it's a nice thing to do. It's simple, done really well here, star. The 50s setting doesn't really play into this much aside from the whole polio thing, and the Florida setting only kind of plays a part because of MaryEllen's obsession with seeing snow. Could have been better. I'm not going to give it a star. MaryEllen's thing is the drawing, and she's really good at it. She draws for all the kids in the end, which is sweet, so I'm going to give it a star. So yet another 4 stars for the Amazon era. Hey, things aren't looking too bad. And after saying goodbye, I was on my own. I had 3 more movies to watch, just 3 more. So I sat my butt right back down on that sofa and I hit play. It's 1976 in San Francisco, and Ivy and Julie are like best friends. They do everything together. Except for almost everything they do in the movie, which is separate from one another, like they hang out like 2 or 3 times. But hey, they talk on the phone. That counts, right? Now, Ivy and her family are second-generation Chinese immigrants, and they all embrace their heritage except for Ivy. She and her brother are in a Chinese after-school program, which she hates and routinely ditches. She refuses to speak Chinese. She's trying to be an all-American girl. Hey, that's the name of the... Now, Ivy's really into gymnastics, which now marks the second American Girl movie to have gymnastics as like the main hobby. Anyways, blah blah blah, plot happens, and it turns out that the big Chinese New Year celebration that'll be hosted at their house with all the relatives and stuff is going to be on the same day as her big gymnastics event. Now, her parents obviously want her to be at Chinese New Year, but she obviously wants to go to her meet. And this is where the movie starts to piss me off. Her parents end up telling their 10-year-old daughter that the choice of which event to attend is on her. The literal child has to choose between doing something she enjoys and disappointing her parents, or missing out on an important competition for the sport that she loves, but making her parents happy. And I think that was stupid of her parents. It's fine to let kids make their own decisions about some things, sure, but not ones like this. That's just unfair to put that on your 10-year-old. They're essentially saying, hey man, this decision is too hard and has too many emotions involved. I'm gonna pass this one off to my kids so I can't be blamed with whatever fallout happens. Long story short, she ends up learning to love her Chinese background after having some talks with her family members, but she still chooses the tournament, which honestly good for her. But her whole family shows up to her meet, which is sweet, and then they just do the Chinese New Year meal afterwards. Was that like not an option at the beginning? Because I feel like that kind of trivializes the whole struggle about the decision. Oh yeah, and then Julie is like barely in it. I think they just threw her name in there so people would remember who Ivy is. I don't think this one was bad per se, but Ivy's parents really pissed me off, so I ain't giving this no stars. Ivy's character was good. I genuinely liked her arc of learning to embrace her family's heritage. I thought it was pretty well done. Her feelings and struggles are not uncommon for ethnic kids in the US to feel, especially in the 70s at that time. I'll give her a star for making the difficult choice that she knew would upset her parents, but doing it anyway to follow her passion. No quote yet again, so I guess the message is like, don't reject your heritage, respect your family's way of doing things, but also, you are your own person, and sometimes the right choices are the ones that are right for you. I feel like this could be interpreted the wrong way, but I do like it. I'm just not sure exactly how it lands with their target audience of children, so half a star. The girls enjoy listening to records together, but aside from that, this could be set literally anywhere at any time and it would be the exact same movie, so no star for setting. Ivy obviously does the gymnastics and is supposed to be like good at it, even though we only ever see her at the end of her classes for some reason. This did play a significant part in the plot, but we've already done the gymnastics thing before, so it's not very original. Half a star for gymnastics too. I don't know, man, we're starting to slip here with just 2 whole stars for Ivy and Julie.
Alright, next up on the list, Summer Camp Friends for Life. Now this one doesn't have anyone's name, so it's probably multiple girls or something. I'm not exactly sure what to expect here. But let's jump into this, shall we? We're almost done.
Z and Paz are like best friends. They get sent to this STEM summer camp because they're nerds. Z likes filmmaking.
If I could have filmed my own birth, I would have.
I've already been scarred, okay? I saw Men. I don't think you really want to film that. And then Paz likes technology.
Nature would be a lot cooler if tablets grew on trees, and if trees were robots, and if robots were...
The girls end up wandering off into the wilderness because now that they aren't being fed a constant stream of dopamine on their metal glass rectangle, they have literally nothing better to do with their time. And this is where they run into Jordan. She's supposed to be like super cool and talks about how much she loved this camp as a kid, but she's not a counselor, so how'd she get in here? She's a stranger. Did she just like break into the camp and start talking to children? Kinda creepy. She does this physics-defying trick where she takes what she calls a threefie. Get it? Because it's like a selfie, but with 3 people in it. Now that's cool. Then Jordan just disappears like Batman, and the girls are like, was she even real? They go back and tell the camp director Ray about the cool counselor they just met named Jordan. And Ray is like,
there is no counselor here by the name of Jordan.
And then she just walks off like, hey, that's none of my business. I think their parents should sue, honestly. Oh, and there's also this weird girl named Drew who's apparently too weird for our main characters at a STEM summer camp for nerds. The girls decide to prove that Jordan was real and not some dopamine-starved shared hallucination of theirs, so they go back to where they took the threefie, and Jordan just isn't in the picture. These girls are losing it. But then they see Slenderman in the top corner. Wait, sorry, my bad. It's actually Drew. She's like been following them and spying on them.
I don't sleep.
Yeah, okay, maybe she is a little too weird. The main girls have been totally ignoring Drew's attempts to befriend them, and that might be the smartest thing they've ever done. But since they have no self-preservation technique, they befriend Drew, find Jordan's charm bracelet on the door, so now they're on the hunt to find Jordan. They find this riddle that Jordan left for them that each one of them conveniently has the weird nerd knowledge to solve part of, and they stem their way into finding Jordan. Wow, who would have guessed? Something Ray is Jordan's godmother. Ray's mom used to run the camp, but she wanted Jordan to run it, but she didn't feel like she could or something, I don't know. Anyway, but she came back because the camp was calling her back or something, but she just broke and entered though. That's trespassing, right? Anyway, the girls convinced Jordan to make up with Ray, and now Jordan is a counselor now. I'm not sure what's going on, but the girls are happy, everyone is happy, the end. I'm just happy, it's over. No stars. There's 3 girls, 4 if you count Jordan. They're all kind of weird, they're nerds. None of them have meaningful growth, which is the biggest problem with having the most main characters in the shortest movie. Yeah, no stars. We finally got another quote from Dr. Mae Jemison, the first black woman astronaut, which is cool. Don't let anyone rob you of your imagination, your creativity, or your curiosity. It's your place in the world, it's your life. Go on and do all you can with it and make it the life you want to live. This is fine, I guess. It's relevant enough to the movie to get half a star. The setting was fine, I guess, not particularly interesting, but the STEM angle was unique, so half a star. And I don't know, the girls kind of used their STEM knowledge to solve Jordan's puzzles, but it was kind of a mess, no star. Which makes 1 whole star for an American Girl Story summer camp, Friends for Life.
Oh my god. Oh my god, I gotta be honest, that one was probably the worst one yet. I'm so glad it was only a half hour, because oh boy, if I had to sit down for even 40 minutes of that, even just 10 more minutes, I would have lost my mind, even though I've probably arguably already lost it by this point. Last, but certainly not least, we have the final film.
Okay, last one. Let's get through this. Corinne Tan and her little sister Gwen like snowboarding. They've got divorced parents, birth dad is a ski instructor, which apparently pays well. Mom was an accountant, but wants to start a restaurant despite not having any ideas for the menu, which is not a great start. The acting and writing, I gotta be honest, kinda rough, but I'm almost done. Just keep going. Anyway, there's this dog, Flurry, who's being trained as an avalanche dog. Basically, they go out after storms or if someone is missing to find them buried in the snow. But Flurry is not very good, so they shelve his training and are gonna send him away. It's important to note that Gwen is really good at figure skating, but Corinne isn't especially good at anything and feels inferior to her little sister. This is where the movie starts to lose me because Corinne becomes unhealthily obsessed with training Flurry to be a good Avi dog. She doesn't want the dog to be sent away, so she basically forces her way into being a junior trainer, a title which was made up specifically for her. Girl, just get a hobby that doesn't involve training dogs to save human lives. It's also kind of ridiculous because the movie is essentially saying that these trainers aren't good enough at their jobs that pays their bills. I don't know. Anyways, Corinne thinks that this dog training thing is her true calling, which is ridiculous. It also turns out that Flurry's big test day is on the same day as Gwen's big skate competition because of course it is. Corinne promises to make it, but of course she doesn't, which pisses Gwen off, and rightfully so. Oh yeah, and Flurry failed, and Corinne gets mad at her sister for doing well in the competition. What a jerk. But Gwen, bless her heart, forgives her for not showing up, but Corinne is still in jerk mode. So Gwen goes off in the middle of the night to this sister shrine thing they have in the snow to get this friendship bracelet that they left there to remind Corinne of their sister bond or something. Anyway, Gwen gets lost, so Corinne is like, this is the perfect time for Flurry to shine, even though, remember, he didn't pass. So they're betting on this poorly trained dog to save Gwen's life. But hey, it all works out. Flurry finds Gwen, Flurry becomes an Abby dog, and everyone is happy the end. If you can't tell already, I hated this. It sucked. No stars. Corinne is a selfish, nasty girl. She's jealous of her sister's success. No stars for this American girl. Now, the last few movies have brought up this idea of a true calling, which is a terrible message. Not only does it set way too high of expectation for kids and honestly sets them up for failure if they can't find anything they're good at, but like, people also have varying interests. You know, not everyone has one specific thing they're called by the universe to do that brings them ultimate fulfillment. No stars for this terrible message. Yeah, this one is also set in Aspen, wherever that is, but they do make the most out of it with the snow and the skating and the dogs, I guess. I'll give it 1 star for that. And the hobby, no. Just no. Corinne literally only becomes obsessed with training Flurry because she's jealous that her sister is good at skating and desperately feels the need to find something she's good at too. This isn't a hobby. You just can't stand the thought of the dog you've bonded with leaving you because of your divorce trauma. No stars. So the final American Girl film, American Girl, Corinne Tan, the movie, gets 1 whole star.
I'm done. I can now officially say that I've watched every single American Girl doll-based movie.
I was so close to telling my sisters that I knew more about American Girl dolls than they did, but we still had to go to the store. We finally made it. There was only one thing left to do.
All I'm saying, though, is that I know more about American Girl dolls than you do, Genius, because I spent the last 2 weeks watching all 15 American Girl doll movies.
I want to watch the good ones.
Good one. Wait a minute. Why didn't I watch the movies with them? That could have been a lot of fun. I might have actually enjoyed myself. No. Pull yourself together. This was for a reason. I had to prove myself as a genius. Yeah, that's right. I knew more about American Girl dolls than they did. Wait, who's Courtney? Who's Leela? They never made movies about them. In fact, most of these dolls never got movies. Those ones are classics, but I don't actually know anything about them. I don't think watching these movies helped me at all. I'm not a genius. I'm a fraud. Was this a waste of time? What was I thinking?
That I know more about American Girls because I watched all 15 movies.
There's not 15.
There's 15?
No.
Oh.
There's Samantha and Molly.
Felicity. Yeah.
Samantha, Molly, Felicity. Then there has been, like on Netflix, there's been Melody, Julie, and MaryEllen.
Yep.
And then, I'm not Netflix, Prime. And then, the Dolls of the Year, and Kid. Kid had a theatrical release.
Yep.
The Kid. And then, the Dolls of the Year, we had Chrissa, we had Leah, the ones that had movies, Grace, Saige.
Yep. Isabelle.
Saige. Isabelle had a movie too.
That was one of the last ones I watched.
But
the gymnastics girl. Melody, McKenna.
There's a whole lot.
McKenna had one.
Yeah.
So there's a couple. There's a few.
So yeah, so there's probably actually close to 15. It's probably like 12. Yeah.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Love that. Thank you. I'm Samantha's slogan. She's a rebel with a hair bow. His actions speak louder than words.
After that.
Yeah. So tell me about Kit.
Kit,
I love Kit.
Wants to be a reporter.
Yeah, we love Kit.
She wants to be a reporter.
I forgot about that.
She asks a bunch of questions. She's very inquisitive.
What year is she from? What's the big problem with her childhood?
It's the Great Depression.
34, Great Depression.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, what's her big problem?
they're always 9 in the year of their children.
Oh, are they? That's good to know. Oh, interesting. Did you know that? Okay, so let's ask you some.
The movies that she missed were this one summer camp one, which was easily the worst one that you guys all missed.
It was about the science
STEM
camp
summer
that's
camp.
STEM.
Guys,
do you remember when they was the girls went?
There was a girl
No, I
named
don't
Z,
know
a girl named Paz or something like that.
For Kristen,
I don't know, and then a girl named Drew.